Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you are Central or Eastern time zone. This is Ryan Hartnett here at Clever. We're really glad to have you here today. We're going to be talking about the Clever Library today and how you can participate. So first, just up top, some introductions. Again, my name is Ryan. I am on strategic partnerships here at Clever. That means it's my job to find great applications to make available to teachers on Clever, and really excited to have you all joining today as you are those applications that provide great products to teachers in the classroom. And I'm here with Tracy, who I'll let introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm on the partner engineering team, so I help all of our app partners build against the Clever API. I'm currently leading our library efforts on the team, so any type of technical questions, I would be your point of contact.
Great. Well, again, really excited that you are here with us today, and want to say a few things up top about how we'll conduct this webinar. First, we really want your questions, so please use the GoToWebinar console to ask questions. We'll have two breaks, one in the middle and one at the end, in which to answer your questions. So please just, as you think of them, pop them in there, and we will get to them at one of those 2 points. And if for some reason we are not able to get to your question, we will follow up with you directly. Stay connected with us. We have a wonderfully active Twitter feed these days, connecting with great applications, making teachers aware of what's available on Clever, like your programs. So please connect with us there. And finally, this session is being recorded. So we will send a link to a recording a few days after, and that can be particularly helpful. I know among our audience, some of you may be more technically oriented, others may be more on the business side of things, some of you are both. But if this is information today that you want to share with other people in your organization, you can use that recording that we'll be sending out in a couple of days. So our agenda for the day, we're going to talk about what is the Clever Library and what is Clever. We'll get through that briefly, as many of you probably are a little bit familiar with us already. We'll talk about what's coming for back to school with respect to the Clever Library. And then we will talk about how to get started, and we will answer your questions. So without further ado, let's jump in. First, Clever. So we actually just celebrated our 7th birthday last week. We were founded in 2012 really to ease and simplify access to technology in the classroom. And we do that in a couple of different ways. So first, we are a data integration provider. So we connect the 100 or so major student information systems out there in US K-12 and deliver that data to those districts' authorized applications. So we help district IT, when they adopt a new program, make that program available to their teachers in a couple of clicks by authorizing data out to you, the provider. We also provide a single sign-on portal where students and teachers can access all their learning software. This is their way of logging in with one username and password and getting one-click access to all their applications in the classroom. And that may be a username and password. They may be using Google, Office 365, Azure to log into Clever. They may be using Clever Badges, which is an extremely popular login method for K-3 students to log in without needing to type in a username or password. And then at the district level, for curriculum teams, we surface analytics and insights into software usage. So we really serve many stakeholders on the district side, and for you, the developer, we become a core part of your infrastructure for single sign-on and data integration to help you support schools and your customers at scale. And over those years, 7 years now, we are working at a pretty significant scale in US K-12. 70,000 US schools, a little over half, actively use Clever to connect with their learning software. 30 million students and teachers in the US have Clever accounts, and 12 million of those are monthly active users of our single sign-on portal. When I joined Clever in 2014, we were working with 15,000 schools at that time. So it has grown significantly in the last 7 years or 5 years in that case. And finally, we're working at scale with many of the largest districts in the country. So 93 of the 100 largest US K-12 school districts are using Clever at scale as part of their infrastructure to connect with many of their learning applications. So what is the Clever Library? This is what we'll be focused on today. The Clever Library is a place where the more than 1.5 million teachers on Clever can discover and sign up for great apps. You can think of it as the app store exclusively for K-12 EdTech. So for you, the developer, it is designed to help you address 3 challenges you may be experiencing. The first is just awareness with teachers. So we really help through this library with top of funnel teacher discovery of your product and new registered teachers finding and signing up. And as we'll talk about, that can happen through Clever. It can also happen through your sign up page. And we're excited to share the results from the last school year with you during this webinar. The second thing we help you with is converting more of those teacher signups to engage teachers. So if you think about your funnel today, you might have experienced the challenge of teachers signing up for your program, but then falling short of adding their students in classes. They might sign up for themselves, but never enter any student information to create accounts for their students. And the library really drives that engagement by drastically simplifying onboarding. So we help teachers who sign up immediately sync their classes and create accounts for their students in one click, and then keep that information up to date on an ongoing basis. Well, the third part of the funnel we help with is those conversions to school and district adoptions. And we've heard this over and over again. Well, even as you get this great awareness and sign up rates with teachers, it can be hard to convert those into school and district partnerships. And we help with that in 2 ways. One, just by virtue of the fact that this channel delivers more engaged teachers. They are, and this is data we have from our current partners, more likely to convert into a school and district adoption. And 2, we foster concentrations of usage within a school site by encouraging teachers to take a look at what their peers are adopting. And we do this by recommending programs to teachers that other teachers in their school are using, and particularly those that teachers are reviewing and leaving positive reviews for. And we'll talk more about that. And then once you make those school and district adoptions, that seamlessly ties into Clever's traditional core functionality, which we've had for years, which is making it possible to deploy your software across an entire district or an entire school top down in one go. And that's the business model here for us, just so you know. The Clever Library is free to you, the developer, because often you're giving your product away for free to teachers, or maybe charging a small amount. It is at the point where you make a school or district sale that you could then adopt Clever's paid product called Secure Sync to do top-down bulk deployments of roster data, information about those students and teachers connected with you at the district level to mass create accounts. So if you want to get up and running in 100 schools across Miami-Dade in one go, that is really Clever's bread and butter with Secure Sync. And that at that point is a paid relationship with us. But the Clever Library is for those apps that teachers can adopt directly, whether free, freemium, or free trial, and it is free to you. So I want to talk real quickly about the results we have seen in the past school year. So we, as I mentioned, have 12 million monthly active users on Clever. About 430,000 of those are teachers. And over the last school year, we've seen approximately 8.5 million student and teacher signups through the library. That's that top of funnel. And that's across 98 partnered applications who have integrated with this part of our platform. But what's more exciting, I think, is the fact that these signups, this channel for new teachers, is converting at higher rates to engage teachers. And we hear this from multiple partners, including this data point from our partner Who's Reading, that signups through Clever convert to engaged users at 2 times the rate of signups on their website with a manual username and password, and 5 times better than signups through Facebook ads. And in talking with Greg at Who's Reading, what's even more exciting is that the teachers they're getting who sign up through Clever are upgrading to premium classroom subscriptions at 2 to 5 times the rate of manual signups. And that range comes from multiple partners. So that is what you can expect from the Clever library. And we are projecting even larger numbers for back to school 2019, this fall. This has all been through organic adoption of the library to date by teachers on Clever. We haven't actually promoted it that heavily to teachers on Clever, but beginning next school year, it will become more central to their experience of their use of the Clever portal, and you can expect even more significant results and returns if you integrate with this part of the Clever platform. So that's a lot of information. You can take a moment to digest that and definitely pop your questions in if you have any. As I mentioned, we are working with 98 partners today and aiming to work with close to 200 by the end of this calendar year. One last note, I mentioned the Clever Library. You can think of it as an app store for K-12 ed tech, and that is where teachers can discover and sign up for your product. As we'll talk about, they can also find and use the sign up with Clever functionality from your website or from your mobile app. And that's something more we'll talk about as we get into the technical portion of this conversation with Tracy in just a little bit. So I want to take a moment to actually just demo for you real briefly what the library experience is like for a teacher on Clever. I'm going to pop out of my screen share here, come over to a demo portal, and I'm going to log in as a demo teacher. The first thing I'm going to see are my district provided applications, but you'll notice here that I have the option to browse for resources in the library or come up here to look at programs that are featured to me based on what is popular in my district. So again, this is getting to that virtuous cycle of when you get a single teacher adoption in a school, you want other teachers in that school and district to know about it and to foster that sort of community of usage of your program. So we feature applications to teachers based on what other teachers are signing up for. They can browse by subject. They can see what is new and noteworthy and most popular across all of Clever. And at the point that they decide to sign up for your application, let's say I want to go to Who's Reading, they can get a description of your product, some screenshots with description, some basic information about the number of teachers who have installed it, and then they can install it. And this is really the magic of Clever, is the fact that with one click, they can create an account for themselves and all their students. We show that teacher exactly what data they're about to send over to you. And once I click allow and continue, my account as a teacher and all of my students' accounts are automatically created. And you can see Who's Reading gives me a very nice syncing with Clever in the background. They're currently importing my list of students so that my students also get single sign-on access. And now the Who's Reading icon is right on my portal page. And it's also on the portal page of all my students. So now you are going forward right in front of all those students and teachers who have installed your application. And it's a great way to continue engagement with those users after they have first signed up. And that's really it. And now I have that single sign-on access to that application. And most of our partners have some kind of onboarding UI since we provide really the minimum information needed to provision accounts, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we pause for questions is where we're headed during back to school. So I'm going to jump ahead because these screenshots are just the demo I just showed you, and talk to you a little bit about where we're headed. So the first thing we are doing this back to school is going from a place today where teachers can sign up for the free or free trial version of your software to actually facilitating those upgrades right in the Clever portal. So we've just started signing reseller partnerships with many of our existing library applications. And we are now making those upgrades available from right within Clever. And so this back to school, what you can expect from Clever is not only those free teacher signups, but also teachers upgrading. And as I mentioned earlier, the data so far suggests they do that at high rates through this channel. The second thing we're going to be doing in the next school year is opening up a version of the library for school and district administrators. And the idea here is you want administrators in a district where Clever has relationships to know what software their teachers are adopting. So that if you are, for example, a supplemental K-5 reading program, and your usage is actually outpacing the district adopted, district provided program, you really want district administrators to know that, so that when that adoption comes up again, you are top of mind for them. And we will show them that through a combination of a profile of your application paired with the number of active classrooms or teachers you have in that district and ratings from those teachers and reviews, which we've just started collecting. And the idea here is that instead of being able to just install the free version of your software, district administrators will have an opportunity to request a demo and connect with you for a sales conversation. And on your end, we will show you analytics about your usage within districts and across all of Clever. So that was a lot of information. Again, please pop some questions in if you have any. But I'd like to wrap up this portion just by talking about what are your next steps if you want to participate. First, you'll be getting a survey after this webinar asking you if you plan to participate in the library. This is great for us so we know what support and resources to connect you with. Just respond yes to that if you are planning to integrate. And then second, we are offering an incentive for our upcoming partners to integrate by July 15th. The idea here is obviously new adoptions by teachers and schools really spike early in the school year. And we see that in the Clever data every year for the last 7 years, that new installations of software are incredibly high from August to almost Thanksgiving before they taper off. And you know, it doesn't disappear altogether, but it's just much higher early in the year. So we really want to make great programs available to teachers just as they're thinking about adopting new things for their classroom. So we're offering this. If you integrate by July 15th, and what that entails is signing up for a developer account, completing your integration, sending us the marketing material to populate your profile, and signing a library-specific data sharing agreement. If you complete those steps by July 15th, we will make sure you're live and available to teachers for back to school. And if you do those things, and two more things, which is make sure you've got a login with Clever button on your sign up and login pages, and notify your teachers that they can now authenticate using Clever. We will even feature you for a full week during back to school 2019, when we see the most traffic and the new installs through Clever. So I'm going to repeat all that one more time, and again, you will get a recording of this. Again, your steps to integrate are sign up for a developer account at apps.clever.com/signup, complete your integration, fill in your marketing assets for your profile, sign the library data sharing agreement. All of that gets you live in the library if you do those steps. And then if you go a little bit further and actually include a login with Clever button on your sign up and login pages, notify your teachers that they can authenticate using Clever, you'll earn featured placement during back to school 2019. So let's pause there before we head into the technical portion of our webinar and answer your questions. The first question is, what happens to teachers who sign up but are not active? And the answer is kind of up to you. So on the Clever side, until they actively remove your icon from the portal, your icon will still be there. If you, as a practice, choose to archive accounts where they haven't logged in 6 months or a year, you're welcome to do that. But remember, these are free signups to you. So you're under no obligation to do anything with that teacher who doesn't remain active. But if you, as a practice, like to clean that up, you're welcome to. We recommend archiving though, not deleting, so that in case that teacher shows up again, you can bring them back. Next question. You noted free, freemium, or free trial. Is that specific to the terms? So the idea here is the Clever library is really a good fit for you if you're the kind of product that, one, a teacher can come and sign up for directly on their website. So it doesn't require that they have a school or district relationship with you. So that's qualification question number one. Do you let teachers come to your site or your app and sign up directly? And number two is, do you give them some kind of baseline free experience, at least initially? So what's really important for us in providing this app catalog to teachers is that they not immediately hit a paywall. And that means you're either giving them a free trial, time limited, which many of our partners do, a free version of a freemium product where they could upgrade to unlock premium features, or some of our partners are perpetually free. And that looks like, typically nonprofits or have alternate business models like Cont'd. Let me know if that doesn't answer your question. Next question. Who decides what appears in the district apps list? Yeah, great question. So this is to the question of how do applications get featured in the library? Well, one is when you integrate and go live. So as I mentioned, if you include that sign in with Clever button on your site and you notify your teachers by newsletter, email, social, in some way that Clever is available, we will feature you for a full week. So that is often how apps get featured. But in terms of the section, what's popular in your district or what's trending, that is based on signups for those applications in that district. So if it's, a large district and 10 teachers have signed up for your product, and that ranks you number 3 in terms of signups through Clever in that district, we will feature you to other teachers in that district. We hope to do more. We do themed weeks. We've done math week, typing week, reading week. So we often tie to national scholastic dates and events. And then we'll hopefully over time be doing more to really tailor the experience to teachers based on what they're most interested in. Next question, what does the conversion process look like from the library to Secure Sync for us and for schools? This is a great question. It's primarily, I think, technical in nature in terms of an answer. So I might actually invite Tracy.
Yeah, so in terms of the conversion process, it really does depend on your specific integration. Currently, we have a parameter on the Meet endpoint that allows you to figure out if a user is coming through a library signup or through a district signup. But I will get to more of those details in the next portion where I cover the integration.
Great. Is there anything in Clever for building a connection with parents? Great question. So today parents do not log into Clever, although that is very likely to change this year in 2019. We have a team working on parent access right now. And then, for many of our enterprise Secure Sync customers, parent contact data is important, and that is something we provide through the API for districts that choose to share it with you. So we do have parent contact information that most districts send. They can share that with you if you are an enterprise customer of Clever's. And then with respect to the Clever library, we do not share parent contact information through that pathway. We really minimize the data that gets shared. Next question, what is the split between middle and high school signups? That's a great question. Let us follow up with you on that because I actually don't know the answer off the top of my head. Next question, when a teacher signs up for an application before district level adoption, how is that data reflected in the Clever application dashboard? If we have Secure Sync, will we get section data? So Great question. And we encounter this a lot. So I'll take the example of Newsela. Newsela uses the Clever library for free teacher signups. They also use Clever for their district customers for that top-down deployment. Now, oftentimes, there will be teachers in a district that Newsela has a contract with, but maybe not for that teacher's school. They're still only available to use the free version. And so when that teacher signs up, we will share the minimum data that comes with a Clever library signup when it's teacher initiated. That means we'll get into the exact data points, but it does include a thin layer of roster data. So you do get that student teacher class association through the Clever library. To be clear, it just doesn't have all the same data points that come with Secure Sync. And as we'll talk about, if that teacher ends up being in a school that later upgrades to a contract with you and upgrades to a Secure Sync connection, that will then, at the district's authorization, open up more of our data schema to be shared with you. The key thing for you to know is their Clever ID, their globally unique Clever ID, stays the same throughout, which makes for a really seamless upgrade process for that teacher user. We're going to get more into the technical piece right now, actually. So why don't I hand it over to Tracy to talk us through that.
Great, thank you, Ryan. So here's a quick overview on the process of getting set up on Clever Library. If you haven't already, you can navigate to apps.clever.com/signup to create a dev account. From there, you can build and test your integration, submit marketing collateral, and then sign the DSA. Most of our app partners take around 1 to 2 weeks to complete these steps. And once these steps are completed, you can submit for certification, which includes filling out a short survey about your integration that our team will review. Once we have completed testing on our end and have certified you for library, we will issue you a production account, and our partnerships team will assist in those last steps getting you live. So what actually makes up the components of a library integration? So first, you have the SSO piece, which uses the standard OAuth 2.0 protocol. You have teacher onboarding, which allows users to sign up and have on-demand provisioning. You have access to rostering data, so you can sync classroom data. And lastly, you have ongoing updates to make sure that data stays up to date. You can accomplish this by either updating information upon each login or creating a user UI so that teachers can sync the data once they have signed in. So here are some integration frequently asked questions. So what data fields are provided? Our chart to the left outlines what fields you have access to with each object type. You'll see that we do not have school or district information. So if this is needed, I recommend creating an onboarding flow that will collect this information upon sign up. So how long does it take to integrate? So this will really depend on your experience with SSO. For example, if your developers have already created a sign-in with Google or Facebook option, then chances are you have already built an OAuth 2.0 integration. And from there, it'll be pretty easy to kind of transfer that over to Clever. So this will also vary if you need to build a custom onboarding flow to collect that information that is not provided in the scopes. So what if my app doesn't use classes? Not a problem. We have partners such as Cont'd and TrustKid who do not use sections and simply create accounts upon demand without any rostering information. All right. So I already have Clever SSO. What more do I need to do to make sure we're library compatible? If you've already built Clever Instant Login, then the hard part is over. You have a working OAuth 2.0 integration. So all you need to do now is make sure that users who are not connected via the district will have an account provisioned upon login. Additionally, if you would like to sync any rostering data, you can now access this information by making additional calls to our sections endpoint. And how can I tell if a user is shared by the district or shared by a teacher? We have an authorized by field in the me endpoint that will state either district or teacher. Okay, so how can I test edge cases in Clever? So you can now test your integration directly in your app dashboard by heading over to your library tab, and there's an integration guide. We have a built-in integration guide in the dashboard that will walk you through all the steps to get your integration up and running. And what if I don't have the engineering capacity to integrate in time for back to school? So Clever can recommend any kind of outside contractor to help you with these steps. So our library partner, Pear Deck, worked with an outside contractor to do their integration in less than a week. So the Clever team is here to help you with any kind of additional questions at integrations@clever.com.
Great. So we'll take this opportunity to answer any additional questions about the technical portion or anything we've covered so far. Any new questions from the group? Take a moment for them to come in. Great. So one thing I will leave you with, and again, you will get a recording for this, is just this screen. So again, you'll get a survey post-webinar asking if you plan to integrate. Let us know so we can connect you with the right resources, or email us at library@clever.com. That will always get the question to us, and we'll route it to the correct source. And then we're looking for as many partners as possible to integrate by July 15th, so you are ready for back to school when those new signups begin to spike in August. We did get just one question now. Can you put the SSO login part in a free trial, or does it need to be in the main flow? So if I'm understanding the question correctly, it's if you're going to put a sign in with Clever button on your app or on your website, is it okay if that button is confined to a part of your page or app that is specific to signing up for a free trial? That'd be totally fine. I think the one area of confusion for a teacher or a student would be after they have signed up for that free trial and they return to your app or your website, will they know how to log in? Because typically at that point, they've already done the sign up once, they've gone through your onboarding UI. You could imagine that they will return and come to your site and try to log in using your standard login page. So one thing to think about would be, will those users be a little confused at not being able to re-find the Clever login option? And yes, a recording of this will be sent out in the coming days. Great. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining. That was a quick 35 minutes. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Tracy and myself and many others here at Clever are here to support you and make your wonderful products available to teachers through Clever in time for back to school. Thanks again, and we will hopefully be talking with you soon.